Have you ever felt the bone-deep chill of betrayal, where the trust you placed in your beloved turns to dust? I have lived through that nightmare. Our love, once pure and uplifting, was tainted by lies and secrecy that unfolded in the most painful way imaginable. "We can erase the past, can't we?" she whispered, her eyes a mix of desperation and deceit. But as I grappled with the shards of our shattered dreams, I realized that moving forward didn't mean forgetting. It meant forging a new path from the ruins. This is my story. Enjoy watching it. He waited 4 days to call, 2 days more than I guessed. His voice, full of fake charm, came through the phone. Tom, let's talk. We can find a way to make everyone happy. Come to my office and we'll talk like friends." "Sure, Stan. I know what I want." He hated being called Stan, wanted to be called Stan Lee. I could almost hear him grind his teeth, but he kept his cool. "That's fine, Tom. I like dealing with fair men. What do you want? We'll have it ready. I want your daughter to stick to the prenup as it is. Nothing else will do. Got it, Stan? And I won't step foot again in that trap you call a home." He lost his calm. "You're a nobody. I knew you were after her money. Didn't she see? Now I have to clean her mess like always. You'll be sorry, you hear me?" By the end, he was yelling, Stan? Are you saying you'll make me sorry? That hurts. I always thought you were okay." I was really laying it on. We couldn't stand each other from the start. He couldn't speak properly for a bit. Then he burst. "I'll try one last time. 1 million clear after the vote. Then you can leave her." I paused before replying. "1 million? Let me think. No way. Not going to happen. Stan, dear, take care. Bye now. Call me anytime." He was still shouting when I hung up. The man was out of touch. His career was over. His family in ruins and soon to be talked about by everyone. The secret was out, and he was still trying to bargain. Right after, I sent 3 copies of our talk to safe places. Better safe than sorry. He was wasting his time anyway. Justice was rolling, and he couldn't stop it. I met her when I had to lay cable near her house. I worked for myself, owning my gear. Everyone wanted fiber optic and buried cables. They were quick, cost less, and best of all, hidden underground. They were safe from storms, big shakes, huge floods, or from someone not watching. They were almost unbreakable. The company I worked for paid the state to use their land. I was outside a huge house in a place where all houses cost a lot. There was a big fence, tall gates, and a round drive. Fancy cars were all over. Clearly there was a party. Even over the noise of my work and my earphones, I could hear loud music. It was a warm April day. I took off my shirt to get some sun to look good before it got real hot. I didn't go to gyms or use tanning beds, but working hard outside for many hours each week kept me fit. I stopped to put more cable on my machine and saw a very pretty woman wearing a tiny black bikini on the balcony. If the bikini wasn't black, I'd think she had nothing on. Calling her standing might be too kind. She was moving a lot and then fell over the rail. I couldn't believe it for a moment. Then I ran over. I found her in the bushes under the balcony. She was cut up. She was also very drunk. I tried to help her up. She screamed when she tried to stand. I sat her down softly. I checked her and saw her left ankle was huge, and she cried out when I touched it. I made sure she was okay and went to the front door. I hit the bell and knocked hard, but no one came. I couldn't get around the house because of the fence. I went back to her. Maybe she could phone someone inside to come out, but she was too out of it to talk and her ankle was turning dark. Oh no, I muttered as I picked her up. I put her in my truck and took a moment to jot down the house number. 15 minutes later, I was walking her into the ER. I carefully set her down and approached the counter. They saw me come in. "What's wrong with her?" the nurse asked, pushing a form at me. "She fell from a balcony. I think her ankles broke, and she's had too much to drink." Another nurse went to check on her while the first one pushed the form at me. "Her name, yours, insurance? How do you know each other? Medical past? Fill it in." I pushed it back. "I don't know her name. I'm not giving you mine. I saw her fall while I was working nearby. No one was home. She needed help, so I brought her here. I can give you the address. When she's sober, she'll tell you her name and who to call." I don't know why I made up stuff about the party, maybe to make them help her faster. The nurse at the desk was not happy, but had to deal with it. I waited with her until they took her in, then left. Last thing I needed was to be stuck taking care of some rich girl. I got back to my stuff and saw all the cars were gone, just a little Mercedes in front now. It was too late to do more work, so I pulled my gear up onto my trailer. I had a tough time with it, but felt I had to tell someone. I walked to the house and knocked. A very pretty lady who looked like the girl answered. I thought she was her big sister. Turns out she was her mom, 42, but looked way younger. Her eyes were calm. "Can I help you?" "No, but you can help someone else. I was out front today and saw a lady fall from your balcony. Seemed like she hurt her foot bad, so I took her to the ER at Methodist. Someone needed to know. Oh my God." She ran to her car and drove off, leaving me there with her house open. Rich folks sure are odd, I thought as I closed her door, making sure it locked. I lost half a day but was back early next Saturday working 12 hours to finish my bit. I looked at the house now and then, thinking about checking on the girl, but no cars were there, so I did not. 5 weeks passed and I almost forgot about it when a knock at my door came. 2 ladies stood there, one on crutches. I did not connect the dots. I thought they might want my services since I work from home. "Can I help you, ladies?" The older one smiled softly. "Yes, you can let us in to say thanks." I stepped aside, letting them in. "Thank me?" The young one laughed. "He forgot us, Mom. Thought my fall would leave a mark on you. Then I knew. Balcony girl." She grinned, in person. "And my name is Eve. This is my mom, Greta. We're here to say thanks for your help." I sat them down and gave them both a soda. "You're welcome. My foot got real bad hurt, broke in 2 spots. No more tennis for me. Lucky I was so out of it when I fell. It could have been much worse." Her mom gasped. "Chill, Mom. It's true, and you both get it." She looked back at me. I wanted to swing by sooner, but my foot and the talks I was having kept me. I needed to say thanks for your help and for showing me where my life was going. Her mom seemed uneasy. "Eve, I don't think Mr. Young needs to hear all this." Maybe, but she cut her off. "No, Mom, I need to say it." She faced me again. "Your help was a wake-up call for me. My place was full, over 30 folks when I took the fall, yet no one checked on me. Mom cleared them out when she got home. She didn't know I was hurt till you showed up and I was in the hospital. Apart from the broke foot, I got a concussion. My blood alcohol was sky high, nearly poison, and they found an STD. Waking up in the hospital, I was clueless about how I ended there, what was wrong or for how long. Mom came after a bit. She'd been there for ages doing paperwork. When I woke, she stopped. Mom didn't want me sharing this, but it mattered to me. You should know. I needed you to see who I became. Couldn't move for 10 days. I was stuck. Gave me lots to think about. Went into deep counseling. Just shy of rehab, I found out a lot about me. Stuff I didn't want to face. I'm trying to change, to be better, and it was a stranger's kindness that helped me start. That's what I wanted to thank you for." I looked at the women. They waited, looking for me to speak. All I could say was, "You're welcome. Anyone would have done it. And I'm happy you're choosing to be better. We all need more of these, for sure. How did you find me, though? I didn't tell anyone at the hospital where I was, and your mom and I, we didn't swap names." Then she laughed for the first time. "I was in your shirt, remember? Something else? Thanks for the swimsuit. It was revealing, wasn't it? Not much cover there. In fact, a tiny bottom. And every move made her, well, come out of the top a bit. I had an extra shirt with my job's logo and contact info in a box on my trailer. T-shirts are like signs you wear, and they got me some work. I always have a few to hand out. I got out a big one and helped her into it. It was long and kept her covered." I smiled. "Yeah, I forgot that one. You're welcome." Her smile grew bigger. "It's now what I wear to bed." She and her mom got up. "We'll let you go now. Thanks again." She was near the door and then paused. "Oh, I almost forgot. My dad wants you to come for dinner with us Saturday at 7 sharp. You know where we live." They were shocked when I said no. "Sorry, ladies. I can't this Saturday. Got something else. But thanks." They stood there, open-mouthed. Then Greta said, "Do you know who my husband is?" "No, ma'am. I don't know your last name." She laughed a bit. "It's Wallace. My dad is Stanley Wallace. Like Stanley Wallace, the big guy at the State House. Sure you can't make it?" "Kind as your invite is, what I've got to do can't wait. Maybe another time with more notice." Greta looked stunned. Her daughter laughed. "Mom, can I tell Dad? He won't like this." Eve took my hand. "Thanks for everything. Maybe dinner another time?" I think you're interesting. I'll let you know early. Promise. By now. Before I could blink, she kissed my cheek, jumped into the car, and they drove off. It was odd. Her scent lingered on my cheek. It was nice. I was messing around in the garage getting ready for my trip when a cool Mustang stopped in the drive. She got out. Need some help? It was Eve. I handed her the crutches. Sorry, don't want to make you late. I planned to be here earlier but got held up. Can we try again? How about lunch with my folks next Saturday? Why not? I'm in. Just tell me when. And just so you know, I'm not going out tonight. I had things to do. She watched me as we talked. This thing you gotta do. Can I join? I thought about it. Nah, you might not like it, and I'd have to keep you happy, which would ruin my fun. Please. I knew it was a bad idea. Fine. We might be out all night. Still want to come? Her eyes sparkled. You're not gonna hurt me, right? Then yeah, I'd love to come. It sounded like a big deal. Call your mom. Tell her you won't be home tonight. She looked shocked. I'm 22. I don't need to ask. I know, I said. It's just nice so she doesn't worry. She seemed new to the idea, but called. Mom, hi, I'm with Mr. Yunt spending the night. Didn't want you worried. Huh? Okay. She gave me the phone. Thanks, Mr. Yunt. First time she's told her mom her plans in years. Where to? I won't spoil it. Just know it's quiet, hidden, and safe. Have fun, I guess. I had a bit of a detour because my girl can be a handful at times. I stopped at a Walmart before we hit the road. I just needed a few things. Won't take long. Back in 15, threw the bags in the back of the truck. Took us nearly an hour to get there. City lights far behind. Stars seemed brighter. I pulled up to a house that looked like most around here, white with dark shutters. An old man, thin but lively, came out. Hi, Uncle John, just stopping by. Anyone else come yet? You heading over? Ron and Cassie with their little ones. Bob made it. Junie couldn't. Fred, Celeste, their kids. Most folks are there already. No, staying here feeling my age, he said. But then I spotted her car out back. Too old or just had a better plan, huh? I called out louder. How's it going tonight, Marie? A voice inside answered, So, Tommy. You better head on up and quit bugging your uncle. We've got things to sort out. Uncle John's face turned pink, and I told him to enjoy his night and hopped back in the truck before he could ask about who was with me. We went up the hill, stopping at a big field. 2 fires were lit. I could smell food cooking and saw kids running around the tents set up. What's this for? She asked. We're here to see something special, but it's not for a while. Let's go meet everyone. They were all wondering about her. I'd never brought a girl before. You could tell they were guessing. Celeste came up saying we almost missed supper. Soon we had burgers, potato salad, and beans to eat. Eve surprised me by eating all her food. She got talking about clothes and makeup, and I left her to it. I had told them all to keep quiet about why we were here. She was clearly curious, which only made her more eager to find out. She always got what she wanted. Fast. After 2 hours, Ron yelled, Almost time, get ready. I panicked, telling her to strip. What? Celeste laughed. I had given her bags from Walmart. Come on, dear, let's go to my tent so you can change. It was the end of May, and it was cold where we were. Eve was freezing in her thin shirt and jeans. She was always near the fire. I bought her 2 sweats and thick socks. Thinking she was a medium, I set up the air mattress and sleeping bag on my stand while she changed. We liked using stands. They made things comfy for our necks. Celeste brought her over. She looked good in baggy clothes, hair tied back. If you don't explain, I'll go mad. This isn't a weird group, right? I smiled. Yep, we love stars here. Now lie down, all good, just watch. She was scared and stayed far from me on the mattress. We waited there for about 15 minutes before she got restless. How long will we do this? She asked. Most of the night. Be quiet. You chose this. Just wait. In 5 minutes, a bright meteor flew by. Did you see that? She asked, sounding young. Yes. It's a special meteor shower. We might see loads. That's why we came. We were far from city lights. We were like an astronomy group, watching the stars when it was good. Mostly family members. It got colder. Time to get cozy. You're safe, I said. She got in with a laugh. Cuddling up, she whispered. So there I was, trying not to get too stirred up with her close by, all warm and soft. Then guess what? Little Amy, just 6, Fred and Celeste's kid, comes up. Uncle Tommy, can I join you? Bobby and Jimmy won't let me sleep. I messed up her hair a bit. Sure thing, kiddo, but I've got company. If she's cool with it, come on. Amy put on her cutest voice. Please, Miss Eve, I'll be quiet and still, promise. Well, Eve just melted right away and let her snuggle in. She zonked out fast, and then Eve did too. Waking up to the sun, I saw them, all cuddly. Amy's head was on Eve's shoulder. There was Celeste, all smiles, snapping pics. She put a finger to her lips. I tiptoed out and followed her to where breakfast was getting made. She flipped through her photos, showing off a real nice one. Look, you're all looking like a family. It was a sweet shot. Eve in my arms and Amy right there with us. After, I hit the bathroom and got a quick shower in our makeshift spot, made from big barrels and heated up. You got 20 gallons max, pulled right from a spring nearby. Dressed, I headed back. Eve was up with Amy on her lap. Amy's the smallest of four, the only girl, always trying to be seen. I showed her the shower spot, handing her a clean set of clothes. Got no extras of the small stuff, I joked. She laughed off, saying going without was fine by her. Amy didn't get our joke, but was all in for showering with Eve. They came out all laughs. Her mom asked her why she was giggling. She had to get close to hear the answer. Me and Miss Eve are not wearing undies. She spoke loud enough for some to hear, and Eve blushed happy for a bit. She then got busy with Amy's hair. We all had breakfast like a big family. Eve shared how we met, skipping the part about the party. She said she fell from her balcony while I was around. By her end of the story, it sounded like I fixed her ankle by myself. Amy looked up to me like a hero. She was as clear as a little kid when she shared her thought. You know, if you and Uncle Tommy got married, you'd be my aunt. That'd be so cool. I let her down easy. That would be awesome, dear. Maybe I'll marry him just to hang out with you. But he has to ask me first, and we're not there yet. But he's good as a sleep buddy. He doesn't snore, nor does he steal all the covers like someone else here last night. Amy got all puffed up. I do not snore, he teased her back. You do. You sound like a cute, chubby pup. That made her feel a bit better, especially when she said she could call her nanny. Will you come watch the stars and sleep with us again, Nanny? She looked at me. I'd love to, dear, but it's Uncle Tommy's call. If he says I can, I will. Amy came up and pulled my beard. She's done this since she was 2 to get my eye when I didn't listen. Can she come back next time? Please, Uncle Tommy. I looked at Eve. She looked hopeful. If she says yes when I ask her, I'd be happy to, Amy. Celeste, Eve, and Amy smiled like they knew it was going to happen. I had to talk to my sister-in-law, and she didn't like it that I was still not married. When we got to my place, she went for another shower. She came out in the same jeans and t-shirt from yesterday, her hair and makeup done. She noticed my frown. What? Nothing. Not for me to say, I told her. She pushed. Now I want to know. Tell me. I let out a sigh. You're very pretty. Why cover up with so much makeup? I waited for her to get mad, but instead she looked like she might cry. Then she gave me a sweet kiss. That's one of the kindest things anyone's ever said to me. Thank you. All I could say was, you're welcome, as she limped to her car. I helped her in. This cast comes off next week, then I have a month of physical therapy. Should be back to normal after that. Thanks for last night. It was great. I'd like to do it again if you do. Don't want to let things get dull, right? She took my phone, added her number, told me to call, and left. I thought about her all week, but didn't call. Our worlds were too different. Online, I found out her dad was a big-time politician and they were very rich. She had a big trust fund and her family was worth almost $50 million. She was way out of my league. Too bad, I really liked her. Thursday night, she called, sounding annoyed. Why haven't you called? Forget it. Remember, lunch Saturday at 1. My dad hates waiting. She hung up before I could say anything. I thought about using my work truck, but chose my car instead. It was an IMG Midget, a small British sports car. It wasn't expensive, but I liked it. It took me 4 years to fix it up. For a tiny engine with just a bit over 50 horsepower, it was fast and could turn quick. I had never taken it out in the rain. It was parked right outside. Nice ride. Yours. And you look sharp. I had seen my barber that day. I say barber, but my sister-in-law Celeste is a top hair cutter. When she knew who I was going to see, she joked she'd come with her big shears if I didn't show up for a cut. She spent 45 minutes on me before she said she did what she could with what I gave her. Buddy, you need to shave that beard off. Makes you look 37, not 27. I wore a neat shirt, easy pants, new shoes. Didn't want to dress up more. She was at the door as I got there. I grabbed the flowers from my car. These shouldn't have. She reached for the flowers just as I said they were for her mom. Her smile went cold. I waited a moment before showing the second bunch. These are yours. Her smile came back. Coming close, she whispered. They're nice. Thanks. If you can do this, maybe we can show you how to use a phone. Easy, really. If you can read, you find Eve in contacts and hit call. Modern tech is great, don't you think? Before I could say anything, we were inside. Her mom and dad were in the hallway. I think the flowers surprised her and she seemed really happy. There he was, right in front of me. At 64, he was taller than my 5'11". He looked fit from his home workouts and going to the gym a lot. We sized each other up, both ready to jump. It was weird. I don't usually feel this way. He was known for trying to scare folks by how big and strong he was. His handshakes felt like they could break bones. When he reached out his hand, I knew what was coming. I've gotten strong from lifting heavy stuff like big rolls of cable. When he squeezed, I squeezed back just a bit harder. It surprised him. I saw his eyes get big, then narrow with anger. Even Greta thought I'd act like the rest and rub my hand. But I just let go and kept up the small talk. They looked at him and he just shrugged it off. Later I heard he said he was easy on me for Eve's sake. The food was great and I was polite. He didn't stay long, said he had big work to do. But he did thank me for helping his girl and it felt real. When he left, it felt lighter. He's a lot at first, but deep down he's a good guy. Greta seemed like she often made excuses for him. I didn't mind him, found him quite interesting. They stared at me like I was talking nonsense. Then Greta smiled. Interesting, she said, as if it made sense. They showed me around the house. 7 rooms, a big pool place, and a warm pool. A pro swimmer would love it. There was a maid and a cook. So this is how the rich live. I thanked the cook for a great meal in the kitchen. Seems she didn't hear that much. I turned the pictures Celeste took into a slideshow. There were even some of the meteors she caught, and one of all of us close together. Greta gave her a look. Such a beautiful picture. I hope I can see some grandkids soon. I laughed and kissed her cheek. Hold on, Mom. I'm just 22. Gotta find a guy I like enough for that. Don't rush me into being a mom just yet. We had a nice time right before I left Greta. She went to grab some of the sweet stuff we had at noon for later. Once she couldn't hear us, Greta began to talk. She wanted to thank me again for looking after her kid in ways no one else did. She mentioned how a stranger helped her while her friends just partied on. She spoke about how her kid had the time of her life watching stars fall with me. Tommy, she said, be careful with her. We come from different places and she didn't want anyone getting hurt. Before I could say anything, Eve was back. She wanted to go for a drive. So off we went, driving around for a couple of hours. Then she had me pull over in an empty lot. Why are we stopping? I asked. For this, she said, and kissed me hard. All my thoughts of being the good guy flew away. We kissed for around 10 minutes, and then she stopped us. We either stop now or get in trouble, and I bet my dad wouldn't like me getting caught here, she said. It was time to head back. I think phones should have lids so they can't always see us. I waited until Tuesday to call her. She answered right away. I was giving you one more day, she said. You just made it. Doing something tonight? Sorry, Eve, got work. Just called to say hi. You staying in tonight? Yes, no more going out, she replied, then hung up. So much for a nice chat. I tried calling back, but got her voicemail. 25 minutes later, she was at my door. I helped her inside with the ice cream she brought over. For someone who was supposed to be okay, she seemed pretty out of it. What are you doing here? I asked. She flashed a big smile. You're staying in, so I came to you. Now, hand over the remote and let's have that ice cream. Since I made the trip, I got to pick the movie. She chose a love story on Netflix, Under the Tuscan Sun. I liked it more than I thought. I got her a drink and more ice cream, then I helped her to the bathroom. I don't like stopping movies since I'm used to watching alone, but having her there made it okay. By the end, she had tears in her eyes. She leaned on me, holding my hand tight. We talked after. She finished college, majoring in art. I surprised her with my Van Gogh prints, Starry Night and Sunflowers. I'm big on Van Gogh. Turns out she didn't expect me to be into art. I really like Monet too, but not as much. Not a fan of Dali or Picasso, but I do like many American artists. The Wyeths, Whistler, Georgia O'Keeffe, and Rockwell. For a happy vibe, I go for Rodin and Remington sculptures. She was amazed as we chatted about art and more till midnight. As she was leaving, she asked, "Do you have a nice suit?" "Great. What about Friday?" I may have made it sound weird. Only if you're free, the art museum in the capital has a special event. They're showing Monet's works, traveling around the country. It's a preview for certain guests. My family always goes, and this year it's my turn. It'd be nice to have someone who gets it. Please come with me. She saw my hesitation, but I couldn't say no. "Next date you pick. If it's as good as this, I'll be impressed." Before I could answer, she kissed me and left. I called Celeste, who helped get Eve for a nice suit by Friday. She said we should take my car. It was my first time letting someone else park my car, and it was pretty obvious. "Don't worry, they won't scratch it while having fun with it," she joked, seeing how I looked. "Your car's in good hands. These folks know their stuff. Now let's go talk to people." I knew a lot of the faces there, big names in our place, and was a bit shocked. They were all nice to chat with. She then introduced me to a lady around 50 or so, and we ended up talking about if Van Gogh killed himself or if some young lads who didn't like him much shot him by mistake. A bit later, I realized she had left. I felt bad for not paying her attention and found her talking deeply with two guys, our age. She noticed me looking, and I think she saw I was a bit jealous. She tried not to smile too much coming back. "Who were you talking to?" Her smile grew. "Just an ex or two." Then, "Did you like Vivian?" Trying to hide my jealousy, I said, "She seems really smart, and she looks a bit familiar. Is she with someone famous?" Now she was all smiles. "No, but her husband is. She's the top judge in the state. I hear she was fierce as a lawyer. Lawyers get nervous, but feel proud to talk in front of her. She's known for being tough." "Well, I just thought she was nice," I said. Suddenly, Vivian came over, surprising everyone by kissing me on the cheek. "Thanks, Tommy. I've been called many things in my job, but that was one of the nicest." She looked at Eve. "Eve, my dear, you and this kind man must come have dinner with my husband and me soon." She handed me a card. "Here, in case she forgets my number." The camera lights kept blinking as photographers snagged pics for the news and big mags. Eve was super excited. All she talked about on the way back. "Dad's gonna be mad. He's wanted alone time with her for so long. You must have stood out a lot. We hit the front page of the art and social news all over the state. The art news called me a local critic because Viv said I had a good eye and a joke to a journo. They got a pic of her kiss and lots of photos of Eve and me, both together and alone. The society news had us in it too, with some pics in big crowds. They got it right that I'm a local biz guy and guessed about me and Eve. My fam found it super funny. Eve told Celeste she'd call me her boyfriend if anyone asked. It made me happy. We hung out a lot. She came by my place a few times a week and we went out every weekend. I was starting to fall hard but didn't want to. Our worlds were too different. But I never tried to end it. Celeste and Eve got close, so when she wanted to bring Amy out with us, she said yes. I was the last to hear, as always. It was my turn to pick the spot. The State Symphony was in town. I mentioned it and she told me not to sweat tickets. Her fam helped support them, so free tickets were a thing. Eve took Amy and Celeste shopping for a dress the day before. Celeste felt a bit weird at first. She wasn't used to those fancy shops. Amy was having the time of her life. She showed off and got not one but 3 dresses. Eve wouldn't hear of Celeste paying, said it was on her. They had lunch at a nice place he liked a lot. Amy was happy. She hadn't told me who was coming with us, just that it was someone she cared a lot about. Celeste and Amy came over, all laughs, an hour early. Eve quickly took Amy to another room, leaving Celeste with me. "Did she tell you yet?" She was all smiles. "Tell me what?" I said, fumbling with my tie. She came over to fix it for me. "Did Eve tell you she loves you yet?" I was glad she was doing my tie. I would have messed it up. "No, and I think you're wrong." "No way!" She laughed, fixing my tie better. "She loves you. You love her. Don't argue. I see how you look at her. She's amazing, pretty, rich, and loves you. It doesn't get any better." She saw the look in my eyes. "That's just it. She's too good for me. All I have is myself and maybe a not-so-great life to offer. She'd get tired, right?" Even if I loved her, it couldn't work out. Just then, Amy ran in looking great. She wore a simple yet chic black dress and pearls. Amy seemed like her little copy. Her dress was simple but pretty, with a sash and a tiny gold locket. They spun around for us while Celeste took pictures. "How do we look, Uncle Tommy? Auntie said we'd be the top 2 at the concert. Do you agree?" I picked her up. "Your auntie is always right. Ready to go?" After kisses and hugs, Celeste said to get her home after lunch tomorrow. She seemed a bit sad. "You two are so good together. I can't wait to see your kids. Have a great night." With a last word to Amy to be good, she left. People stared when we walked in. And why not? I was with 2 lovelies. Amy wanted to walk between us, holding our hands. We didn't need to worry about Amy getting bored. She was caught up in the music. We were right at the front, and the music boss saw her in the break, knowing who she was. He came over and talked to Eve. Then he looked at Amy, asking if she liked the night. "A lot, sir. It's cool. Can I get your sign?" He liked that a lot. After the break, he told us about the music coming next and pointed out Amy. The lights hit us. "Folks, here's the future of music. This is Miss Amy Yount and her folks, Amy. This next tune is for you." She got a big clap and fell deep in love with music forever. It got even better after the show when he showed us around backstage. Most signed a big picture of the group for her, and they gave her 2 CDs. She made us play them in the car. She was out cold before we got home. I carried her to the spare room and got her into bed. She woke up a bit to make sure we both said goodnight. Eve went out, and Amy, being straight up, started asking, "Love anyone? I messed up her hair. I do that when she's nearby. I'll spill if you keep it zipped. I do." She laughed. "I think it's not a big secret. Mom says she'll be my real aunt soon. That's cool. Tell Eve I love her too." She was out again before the lights were off. That night we got close. When I came out of the room, Eve was gone. Her car was outside, so she was here. I called out low. She called back from my room. "Shoo, you're awake, Amy. Come to bed, dear." She stood there, looking nice but simple. I'm beat and don't want to drive. We've slept side by side before, remember? And I told Amy we'd eat together in the morning. I knew if we got in bed, things would happen. I knew it wouldn't last, and I saw sadness coming. Which side do you want? She came close to me. What was just a quick goodnight kiss turned deep fast. I was happy because we made gentle, loving love, not rough, quick sex. It was amazing. Hard to put in words. We hugged for a bit before she went to clean up in the bathroom. She wore her nightdress when she came back. "Put your shorts on." "Why?" She smiled at me because soon a little kid will wake up first and come straight here. "Now dress up." As we lay together. Just before sleep, she told me softly. "So this is what love looks like when you're married with kids? I could like this. But yes, a visit to the grandparents now and then is a must. I want 3. Love. Good night." I woke up feeling sad for some reason. Then I saw I was alone. I didn't like it. I went to the kitchen. There was a note. "Good morning, you slept in. You missed breakfast. Your girls went out to run errands. Amy is staying over tonight and we needed to buy a few things. See you at Mom's at 3 o'clock. Love you." I fixed some stuff, cleaned the kitchen and cut the grass. Then I got ready and drove there. They were in the pool. Amy, Eve, and even Greta wore the same yellow swimming suits. They must be new. Amy rushed to hug me, making me wet. He did the same, getting me even more wet. "You were going to get wet anyway? Your swimsuit is in the pool house. Fast, go change." So I did, and we played in the pool till it was time to eat. Eve and I tossed Amy high in the air, her laughter filling the air till she splashed down. Amy wanted us to do the same for Greta. I think it was the first time I heard her laugh. Amy was so tired she needed a nap before we ate. Eve put her in her old room. Coming back, she had news. "Sorry, but you're sleeping alone tonight. Me, Amy, and I had a PJ party." She stayed over. Celeste knew. "Now do you want to eat, or should you go home and hear how loud I can be?" We tried to beat each other up good. She was loud, saying what she liked. We were tired and wet with sweat. "I have to leave now. Love. Amy and Mom wait for me, but staying with you feels right. Yet we have all our life for that. I'll see you tomorrow. Pick us up at 1. I felt so alone after she went to shower and left. Then we got real close. She stayed more, moving her stuff in our house. One day she didn't go back to her place for 3 weeks. When I asked, she just kissed me. "This is home," she said. We lived like that a bit more, then we started talking deep about us. Amy was like our kid, staying a lot with us. One night, when Amy slept and we were close on the sofa, she looked at me. "I want a baby." "What?" I was shocked. "Sorry," she said. "I mean our baby. We love us. We should think ahead." I wasn't ready for this talk. "I love you too, so much. But we're so different. You have doors open I can't even see. You got more money than I'll ever have. You'd miss your old life. Then what? End up fighting over kids. I don't think you'll be happy with me." Her next move shocked me. She hit me so hard I fell, then went to her room and dressed Amy. They left before I woke. She came back past noon. She hit me again. "You're dumb. I love you. And this is what you think. I'm just a not deep rich girl having fun. Shame on you. Go to hell. Tommy, I'm done. I'm going back to Mom's for a bit. Think what you want, and just so you know, if I knew you felt this way, I'd have given away all my money to keep you. I can't believe I'm saying this, but you're a fool." She got back in her car, and I didn't see her for 3 weeks. Talk about a kick in the teeth. I turned into the bad guy to my family, her family, and all our friends. Amy wouldn't talk to me. It's not every day a Supreme Court justice gives you love advice. I get now how she got her tough rep. In simple words, it's not against the law to be a fool. But I'm searching for a way out so I can make it up to her. She came to me, wanting to give away her riches, just to be with you. I've always looked up to you, Tommy. You're straight up, honest, a good guy. Don't let me down because you won't follow your heart. Go to her. She'll take you back in a heartbeat. Please, Tommy, I thought it over for a few days. Then I went shopping and made some plans. I called Greta asking if I could visit. She wasn't pleased. Sure you want to see her? You know my man hates you, but even he's sad about you two splitting. She just stopped crying. I warned you not to break her heart. But you didn't listen. You made her love you. I was starting to look forward to having grandkids soon. I begged, I pleaded, and finally got her to agree. She had Amy answer the door when I arrived. She wasn't expecting me and looked shocked to see me on my knees. "I'm here to beg you back into my life. I'll do anything. Please give me another shot. From now on, everything I have will go to making you happy. Please forgive me. And if you do, will you marry me?" I held out the ring, scared to look up. After a bit, I couldn't wait anymore and looked up. She was gone. Well, I tried my best. Greta got me before I could leave. Vivian was right. I was silly. "Come inside now. My girl is upset and you need to fix it," she said, trying to look mad. But she was smiling a bit. When I went in, she ran to me so fast we both fell down. She tried to kiss me and talk at the same time. "I love you. Let's get married. I love you. Here's a ring. I love you." I took it from my pocket again. She put it on and told me, "I swear in front of my mom and God I'll never take this ring off as long as I live. Never." Her dad was very mad. "I say no. He just wants your money. You can't marry him. Do you get it?" But she was strong. "It's not for you to say. I'm old enough and don't need your help. You don't have to like him as long as I do. Watch it. If you mess with him or try to scare him, I'll leave, married or not. And if I leave, your money for your campaigns leaves too." I didn't know back then, but he always got a lot of money from her for his political stuff. Losing that money would be bad. She couldn't really use her money until she was 25, but she met with those who helped her with it a lot, and they listened to her to keep the money. When she could fully use her money, her grandpa had made sure her dad couldn't touch it. He couldn't let us be and tried to split us up. It was tough because all I did was work and go home to Eve. When her dad tried to get me with another woman at a work picnic, it was too much. It was so clear. It was sad. No one knew her. No one knew why she was there. When she started to follow me, I freaked out. Eve couldn't make it. She was busy with charity work and a budget meeting. I got a buddy who was filming his kids to snap some shots of her. She was dressed nice, but not too flashy. She kept close to me, touching me lightly now and then. I pretended to be into it and suggested we go to a quiet gazebo to talk. Before we even sat down, she was showing more skin than I expected. I turned on the video on my phone. "I bet you have someone filming this, so you won't mind if I record too, right?" I signaled to my friend who stepped out from the trees with his camera, just to get another view. She looked scared. "Now put your top back on properly. And listen, you tell Stan this isn't funny anymore. I'm serious. Ask him how it would look if the news got out he was using girls to try and mess up my plans to marry his daughter. If he's doing this, what else has he done to get his way?" I might not have much, but I'll dig into it. Pass that message to him. She denied it all, of course, and then threatened. She said she'd tell people I tried to make a move on her. I told her to be quiet. If you didn't know her dad, how did you know her name? If I were you, I'd stop now. Go back to Stan and say it didn't work. I showed Eve the video, even the car's tag number she drove. It was a rental. The woman was linked to an escort service. A few quiet calls later, we talked to the owner of the service she worked for. Turned out, she and Stan had a past. When I told Eve, she lost it. He was at work in the Capitol when he got the call. You jerk. Screw you. Don't come to the wedding or reception. Don't call. Don't visit. If you're real lucky, I might send you a snap of your grandkids once a year. And you gotta start asking around for campaign cash. It's all gone now. Maybe I'll chat with the local paper about how great a dad you are. Maybe show them a video. It really shook him up. It took 3 weeks of saying sorry to calm her down, and he hated me more for it. He was all in for a prenup. And for once, I said yes. You're upset. We don't need this drama. We'll be together always. I know you wouldn't harm me, I convinced her. It's just paper, love. We won't need it. But it tells everyone I'm here for you, not your money. Her dad had his lawyers send it to mine. I trust him. He handles my business stuff. He rang me up. Seen it yet? Nope, just spill it. He sighed. It's 30 pages. In short, if you split, she gets it all. Her cash, your business, the kids. And that's just for starters. What now? I went to see it, took a copy, and sent it back with "No way in hell" in big black ink. I showed Eve. She was speechless for a bit. When she was okay, she asked if I thought she okayed this. I laughed. Not a chance. She said she'd get a new lawyer to do it right. The air was thick between her dad and me. I wanted peace, so I wrote my own prenup. Less than a page. My lawyer put it in fancy words, and I showed it to her folks at lunch. If had seen it already, it was simple. If things end for reasons not about cheating, we each take our own stuff back. Stuff we got together, we split fair. 50-50. If kids were around, we'd need a fair way to sort out who gets what. Both sides had to agree with the umpire's call. No fighting it out in court later. If someone cheated, they'd lose rights to kids, stuff, or money they brought in, unless they said sorry in public like the other wanted. Greta liked the idea. Stan blew a fuse, but it was too late. The deal was done. Boy, was it the biggest wedding the town ever saw. We used the big hall because no church could fit everyone. 500 guests came. About 40 were mine, mostly kin. Eve brought along about 80. The rest were buds of her dad. Greta whispered to me later it cost around $200,000. Celeste was a helper. Amy threw flowers. Vivian helped run the show. Off to Cancun we went for 3 weeks. Came back sun-kissed and worn out. I thought she'd be mad. Every time we tried something fun like diving or riding horses, she'd glance at her ring, and soon after we'd be alone in our room or any hidden spot, close as can be. Then came the serious chat about her wealth. I told her straight, I knew I'd never match her riches. Though I was open to enjoying it for trips, learning, or making life nicer, I didn't want to rely on it always. What mattered to me was my work. I was proud of my small biz. I moved out of my tiny house, handing it over to a cousin. Her folks' wedding gift was cash for a new place. Her dad had chosen a house just 3 doors down from theirs. He was mad when we said no. It was huge, even bigger than his place with 8 bedrooms, a media room, and more. I liked it but didn't love it. She knew her dad had picked it, which meant a lot to her. We found a small piece of land 20 minutes away, and I let her choose what she wanted. The land was a bit hilly, and she was always talking to the builders. It had 4 bedrooms on the top floor and a big basement made of brick and stone with 2 fireplaces. She talked about every part with me to make sure I was okay with it. She spent a lot of time planning the basement. It would be for our kids, a place to play and watch movies. She already thought about birthday parties and sleepovers. This made us talk about how many kids we wanted. "How many do you want?" she asked. "As many as we can handle with love," was what I said. She smiled big, so I guess I said it right. "I think having too many might be tough. How about we start with 3 and see?" She wanted to start a family right away, but I asked her to wait a bit. "Let's just enjoy us for now," I said. "We both know once we have kids, they'll be our main focus. What we want will come last. And that's okay. But just for a bit, I want us to be us." I must have said something good. By the way, she showed me love that night. Eve usually took charge in our intimate moments. I wasn't new to this, but she had more experience. Right after we got engaged, we had a big chat about it. She was the one to bring it up. I need you to know everything. You saw how I was when we first met. I was wild and didn't care much. My mom was great, but not strict. You know how my dad is. I did things I'm not proud of now. I don't want to talk about it, but I will if you want. Just know I wasn't a good person. You know, I had a bad sickness, and it feels bad to say it wasn't the first time. I don't know how I missed getting really bad ones like AIDS or hepatitis. Lucky for me, I stayed away from drugs and just drank. Falling off that balcony was a wake-up call. Lying in that hospital bed, I had a lot of time to think. Even if you hadn't come into my life, I like to think I would have changed. But meeting you and your family, I saw what real life was like. Not my wild party life. I wanted what you had. Then I realized it was you I wanted most. I only talk to about 5 girls from college now. The rest don't matter. It's hard to say, but I've been with many guys. But I've only truly loved one. I swear I won't go back to my old ways. What I want with you means too much to risk. She sniffled a lot, and it was hard for her to say all this. I hugged her tight. The past is the past. We can't change it. I didn't know you back then. I only care about who you are since we've been together. Waking up with you every morning is a treasure. So no, I don't need the details. They don't change who you are now. That's all I need. And that's how it was for 3 years. Her dad was full of big dreams. He had been Speaker of the House for 2 terms and now wanted to be governor. He and his team spent 3 years getting ready. The week he was about to announce, he even had me over for dinner and told us his plans, saying he needed his family's support. He looked right at me, and even though I wasn't his biggest fan, he was a skilled politician and had passed laws that I liked, including one good for small businesses. If that's aimed at me, Stanley, I'm all in, I said. He smiled. Good, good. I knew I had to sometimes show up with him. He even said we might have to be in ads. Can you believe that? I tried to play it cool. He made my skin crawl. But his girl, I loved her. Okay, if it doesn't eat up my time, I sighed. He promised, just a day or 2, tops. She was uneasy as we headed home, gripping my hand tight. Something was off, but I couldn't say what. Thanks for helping my dad, she told me, but don't let the games of politics win you over. I couldn't bear it. Her words were heavy, but I tried to ease her worry. Don't stress, darling. I've seen enough to know politics isn't for me. It takes too much from you, leaving nothing behind. That's not the life for me. I ended up in some groups by chance. I did a few things to fill my time, but I didn't dive into her world much. Sometimes I felt a bit left out when she was busy, but she was doing important stuff, so I kept quiet. Then, this cause found me, and I couldn't say no. My cousin's kid got very sick as a little one. It was bad, really bad. She was left with a young mind and a grown-up body. She could do everyday things, but living on her own wasn't in the cards. Her folks were all in for her. There was this place run by the state for years. It's a spot where adults like her could hang out and work. They even had rides to get them there. Local shops gave them simple jobs like packing boxes or folding shirts. One place made tubes with holes in the end. Every month, workers got a bit over or under $100. This made them proud to earn their own cash. But then, the government money stopped. The local leaders wouldn't help, breaking a past promise. We had just 1 month to find cash to keep going or face big trouble. Parents might have to leave jobs to care for family, meaning less money and maybe losing homes. I got pulled into a meeting because my father-in-law knows politics, but I stay away from politics. It was clear, though, no one here could lead well. Everyone was worried. My cousin pushed me to speak up. I stood up. Let's stay calm, I said. First, we need cash to last a month. Then we can ask those in charge and the public for help. We talked about ways to make money with different events. Choosing a leader got tough since we were from 2 close areas. Each area wanted their own to lead. Why not 2 leaders, 1 from each place, I suggested. They can work on their own, then meet weekly to share ideas. Everyone liked this idea. We picked 6 people, 3 from each place, and a local shop owner joined too. So, out of the blue, we all agreed on one thing. Tommy Yunt was our pick. A big cheer went up. I paused for a sec, but then said yes. The other guy talked big promises, no real plan. My path was different. This was going to be tough. The leaders had made up their minds, and changing them wouldn't be easy. We had our work cut out. One thing for sure, each of us had a skill to bring to the table and knew someone who could help too. We needed folks to dig into old grants or look for new ones. We had to get local leaders to give us some emergency cash. Looking at state and federal help was next. If they said no, we'd make sure the media knew why. Politicians don't like bad news about them. First, we asked our county leaders for help. We told them what it costs to keep our program running for a month and asked for a one-time help of $3,500. I had a chat with a radio guy to see if he could help with a fundraiser. He was all in, and even got their news team on board. We made sure we were on the list for the meeting and showed up with everyone. Parents, brothers, sisters, friends, and of course all the adults who needed our program. They filled the room. 2 days before, I met with the county leaders, gave them all the numbers to show why our program should keep going. They hinted we'd likely get the help. I laid out our case, using numbers to show cutting the program would cost the government much more. The shock was how much the media got into it. My radio pals were there, plus scribes from 2 local sheets and a TV crew tipped off by my buddy. We hit the 11 a.m. news. The phone rang off the hook, promising more chats and camera folks. The big shock came when the top commissioner heard us out. Thanks for telling us. Everyone in our county should get respect. This is a good cause that shouldn't have been cut off. The state messed up by not warning the parents and carers. We want to help, but we can't give you 30 times $500. There was a big gasp then. All the commissioners were smiling, though. That's too little, they said. We think $5,000 is fair. Spend it well. Maybe the next county will be as kind. Claps filled the room as I blinked under the TV lights. At the meet's end, we made sure to shake hands and thank each commissioner. One lady, middle-aged with a soft, round face, cried and hugged us all, saying thanks the best she could. The cameras loved it. Our project grew big and fast. Strangers called, wanting to give money or help. I talked only with the radio station to say thanks. We spoke of what we were doing and the aid coming in, turning into a chat 3 times a week. My first step into politics was easy till we hit the next county board. That was tougher. The lead Republican and Democrat not only split on ideas but also not liking each other much, made it hard. The Republican, a big man with a red face, hit the table saying, "No, we can't afford this. The government, both big and small, messed this up. It's on them to fix it." The Democrat, a short guy with dark skin and thick black hair, hit back fast. "Stop it, Jim. Right now it doesn't matter who messed up. The news is all over it. We're meeting locals on Thursday. More than just doing the right thing, if you say no, it's going to hurt you bad in politics. So, we might have to drop a project or 2. This matters more. How about this? Let's vote now. And I'm telling you, I'll make sure everyone knows how we voted and who said no. Do you want to risk your political life?" They argued a bit, but the result was clear. The vote was all yes. The Democrat made sure the young Democratic commissioner, in a tough race, got to hand over the money. When the meeting night came, the room was full again. But this time, 3 TV crews, 6 papers, and 4 radios were there. The crowd knew the tensions among the commissioners, and many hoped for a clash. But it was calm. They saved us for last. My partner couldn't make it, so I gave the speech. We planned for the Republican to bring up the young Democrat in a show of unity. That's not what happened. The top Republican got up. "This is for a great cause, a working program that helps our community. Our neighbor county did more than asked. We feel we should do more too." My good friend here was about to give your group $7,500, but just before, after a quick chat, led by the top Democrat, we decided to give $10,000 instead. A lot because of our kind Democrat friends. He hit his gavel down. "Meeting's over." He smiled as he walked out, seeing his rivals talk to the news folks. One day after work, I found 4 guys in my living room. He kissed me and said they were new helpers. "Listen to them, dear. They're smart. They study politics and are doing their masters." The one in charge, Emerson, told me their plan. "We won't lie. We're using this for school. It's like a small team taking on big power in today's tech world. We've got ideas we think will help if you let us." "Where do you work from?" Eve, who had listened, laughed and showed our kitchen table. That was a shock. "No office? How do you work?" "Got a list of who's with us and what they do?" He looked at a friend. "Billy, start on that. We need an office and a meeting room, phones, computers, printers, whatever else." He told the others, Jerry, check out money support we could get. Zane, find out which local and national leaders are with us, against us, or not sure, and see who's running for a spot again. What's your job? I asked. He smiled. I'll be right with you. If your team's okay with it, I'm your new boss for this fight. It's not about winning a spot, it's about getting people to listen. And I write great speeches. Are we in? I shook hands with all of them, and that's how our team started. They each had their own tasks, so we had all the time to ourselves. It turned out to be one of the best things I've ever done, and from it, I got 4 friends for life. In just 2 days, we set up shop in an old cloth mill's office space. The owner let us use it for free, but we had to pay for the lights and stuff. I was a bit worried about the cost, but Thad was sure it was the right move. Before we knew it, our place was buzzing from morning till night with folks making calls and using computers. It was so busy one day, a guy asked me if we were in touch with other groups. Other groups? That took me by surprise. He figured there had to be more of us since the problem was so big. He said we should all work together to have more power, especially with the big shots at the state level. We didn't let that slow us down, though. In a week, Thad's tech buddy had a list of everyone hit by the cut in funding. We got a cheap mail permit and started sending letters to all voters, telling them to urge their leaders to save the program. We kept our website updated with news and requests, but we never asked for cash. That felt too much like something a slick politician would do. Instead, we put our money details online for everyone to see, updated every week. That honesty paid off. Money started coming in without us even asking, some of it pretty big. A few of our group were lawyers, and they made sure we were set up as a charity right, with 4 of us keeping an eye on the finances. Before long, folks from all over the state wanted our help to start their own groups, and Thad and I were all over the place, sharing what we knew. This tale led to me being on a lot of groups for the state and town. Both sides wanted me to run for county boss, a step to bigger things. Both were shocked to learn I was not tied to any party. But if it was something I cared for, I would step in. But never more than one at a time. The first try almost wore me out, moving all over the state. It took too much time from Eve. Vivian and I got close. Early on, she knew she couldn't have kids and took us in, me more than anyone. She was the one pushing me into groups. You'll do good and stick to what you feel is right. That's rare today. That's why you'd never make a smooth politician. And that's why I love you. Stanley didn't like this and tried to make me sway her. It made him mad when I just laughed and said no. Every year, the Capitol had a big Christmas march, and this year she was leading it. So I took Amy, now 9, to see it. We were staying at her place. Amy, being Amy, got her attention soon. So it wasn't a shock when Amy got to ride in the car with her, waving to everyone. Hi, Fred. Later, Celeste and my family teased her, but they were proud. The talkers thought she might be a granddaughter. No one fixed that. The local paper had her photo, called her one of us. Her school friends were in awe. Even more when Vivian showed up at her school for career day because Amy asked her to. She didn't tell anyone ahead. She didn't want to cause a stir. The vote race was getting hot. Still 10 months left, but early counts had Stanley a bit ahead, enough to worry. He was getting a lot of money and was all over the news and papers. My work had gotten much bigger. I sometimes thought it was because of who I married into, the politics and all. But I didn't choose that. If customers tried to get more from me by hinting at big jobs for my so-called influence, I'd stop working with them. I just did my work well and for a fair price. When they realized I wasn't going to play that game, they backed off. Now, I got 4 teams out working different places. I didn't do the cable work much, only in a real tight spot. I was more into managing and overseeing. He was really proud of how well I was doing and nudged me about starting a family. I decided to surprise her one day. I called her into the bathroom and flushed her birth control pills down the loo. She cried a bit, then went online to look up baby names. That night was really special. 3 months later, Eve met me with tears. I thought something bad happened. I hugged her, waiting for her to say what's up. She showed me a positive pregnancy test. We both ended up on the floor, crying out of joy. It took us a bit to calm down and head back inside. The next day, she and her mom went to confirm it with the doc. After, they ran to Celeste's shop to share the news. Work stopped, and the whole family ended up having a big BBQ to celebrate. I think Amy, who was just over 10, was the happiest. She made us promise to only call her for babysitting when she was older. We even made a little contract for her. She put it up on her wall. I did an ad for Stanley. It worked really well for him. It was just me in work gear, cutting off a bit of cable and then looking straight at the camera. Stanley had a bunch of his campaign signs behind me. In a serious tone, I said, "Stanley Wallace? That's who I'm voting for. His ways of helping biz folks like me puts him way ahead of others. He knows we're the core of this land. If we fall, so does the state." I threw in some extra words, thinking they'd cut it out, but they liked it. Said it made him more real. Plus, he's my wife's dad. My wife would be mad if I didn't back him. He won his first round easy. His rival did even better, with almost 150,000 more votes than Stanley. His crew worried if his rival could pull those numbers in a first round, he might win in November. He bumped up his ads until you saw one at least once an hour on all local TV. His rival was solo, had split up long ago and stayed that way. His team played up the difference, showing Stanley as a big family guy. Greta, Eve, and I had to show up all over to keep up the image. It got old fast. I stepped back despite his upset. I wasn't the one running and had my own work. Eve came home with me for a bit. Then her dad called and she was back on the road with him, even though I didn't like it. At first she called every night, then it dropped to every few days. He was focusing on the west part of the state where he was least popular. I'd see them on TV and both Eve and Greta looked more tired, pale, and their smiles didn't look real. I had enough. It was 6 weeks to the vote and his rival was leading by 4 points. He was going all out. I think he got maybe 3 hours of sleep a night and wanted the same from everyone. Eve was 6 months in and the pace was too much. I showed up where he was talking without telling them and tried to take Eve home. Enough was enough. "You look too tired, and I'm worried it's not good for the baby. Your dad will either win or he won't. At this point, I don't care. Let's go home. I'll start a fire and we'll just relax. I'll make you a warm bath, light some candles, and put lotion on your growing belly. We'll cuddle and then sleep for 10 hours. Okay." She clung to me like I was her only hope in a scary world. But she said no. "I can't, dear. I told Dad I'd stay with him till the voting's done. It's just a few more weeks. Then I'll be back. We'll be okay. It'll all end." I didn't like hearing that, and her eyes worried me. They looked scared. "Listen, if I don't like how you look or act, something's wrong. Look at me, tell me what's up." She hugged me tight and wouldn't look up. Then Greta walked in, probably called by someone. Seeing us, she turned pale. That seemed bad. "Greta, help me talk to your girl. She's not okay. I'm scared for the baby. Tell her to come home with me. Think of your granddaughter." "Yes, it's a girl." I was shocked when she wanted Yvonne to stay. "Please, Tommy, just a few more weeks. I'll watch over her, make sure she's okay. It'll end soon, then back to our normal life." But I wasn't having it. "No. If he wins in 2 years, it's election time again. If he loses, he'll start planning his return. Either way, we lose. We're going home now. Let's pack, Eve." She looked at her mom, scared. They were about to speak when Stanley and his group walked in, bodyguards too. "Tommy, what's this about taking Eddie home? Not now. Many women like seeing her, being pregnant and all. Be wise. Go home or stay. Your people can manage without you for weeks." I was stunned. The nerve of this guy. Not happening, Stan. Did I say he hates being named that? But no way. No job is worth my wife and kids' health. We're leaving soon. That's it. He didn't talk back but made everyone leave except his guards. 4 men. 2 big ones. All had been in the army before. As we were going, I heard my little girl say, "Please, Daddy, don't." The door closed, and he wasn't happy when he turned around. "Listen up, jerk. I won't let some country guy mess up my run for office, even if my girl was dumb to marry him. I have to win. I've made big promises to many people, and I need to show I can do it. Think about it. Life could be good. I'll give you a job with a big pay and lots of extras." I couldn't believe my ears. "Listen, Stan, I don't care about your election. It's not worth my family's safety. I'm going back home with her, and don't you dare talk against it. Don't push me." I'd hate to tell the news how Stanley Wallace, who wants to be governor so bad, is okay with risking his own daughter and grandkids' health. That would really stir the pot in nowhere land. Then things got crazy. Even Greta thought she had to set me straight. Both were in tears, pleading him not to do it. But 2 smaller guards took them by the arms and led them away. Eve looked so scared. "Please, love, remember I love you, please." She was still pleading when they closed the door. I didn't just stand there. I tried to follow, but the 2 biggest guards stopped me. I think I shocked one with a headbutt. He stepped back, but then the other punched me in the belly. I'm not a fighter. I don't know combat moves, but I was a furious husband. Even down on the ground and out of breath, I tried to fight back. A guy hit me so hard in the nuts I blacked out. When I woke up, I was tied to a chair. Stanley dragged another chair close, lifted my chin, and slapped me hard. Good, you're awake. I've wanted to smack you for so long. I hate you. I had plans for Eve to marry her off to make us all happy. Then you, Joe Redneck, messed it all up. But you can fix it. Being a redneck wins some votes. He slapped me again, smiling big. Man, I could do this all day. Now listen, tomorrow, and for the whole campaign, you're gonna stand with me, smile, and wave. Got it? Do it. And you can go back to your small life after. Not with Eve, though, but behave, and maybe you'll see your kid now and then. He was so happy it made me sick. Screw you, Stan. When people hear about this, you're finished. Kidnap. Hit. You can kiss being governor goodbye. He just laughed. You won't talk. I got something on you. Watch. He showed me a video on his phone. My heart dropped. It was Eve in some room naked with her baby bump showing. Stan's voice was in the back. Here she is, ready to go? The camera turned to an old man, naked and smiling. If she's as fun as last time, I'm in. Eve was pushed down and the camera zoomed on her face. Tears fell as she said no over and over. He turned the phone off. No need to see more. You know what happens? Here's the deal. No one needs to see this. No one needs to know how bad your wife is. Think about the kid. It might really be yours. So if you want me to keep it quiet, you better be up there with me tomorrow, grinning and waving. When I win, you can head back home. You might want to leave with her. I don't mind. I'll be done with her until the next vote time, got it? Just know, mess with me on this and I'll have the cops on you for the bad stuff on your computer. My team put it there to make sure you lose your child. My eyes popped wide. My face turned red. My heart raced. I never felt so mad and hurt at once. Then, I felt cold calm. I wasn't going to end him. I was going to break him. He won't get near power again. Might even land in jail. One thing's sure, I was through with them all. Nothing else mattered but getting even. He saw me thinking and hit me again. You're planning something dumb. I see it. Think hard. Wouldn't want Eve to get hurt, or the kid. Right then, I wanted to end him. I pictured hitting him over and over, enjoying each punch. If you try anything dumb, I have lots of video. Video your family should never see, popping up online. All shocked by the wild life you led her into and how you promised to help her get better. Face it, playing along is your only move. It'll all be done soon, and I'll get you a quiet job far from me and away from eyes. Then he goofed. He hit me hard in the side. We all heard the crack. Pain like never before washed over me. Man, that felt good to him. I was trying to catch my breath, sagging in the chair. They left me there, seeming like forever, but maybe just 10 minutes. One of the guards saw me gasping and the blood on my lips. My rib had poked my lung. I was choking on my own blood. Still, it took them 20 minutes to decide to call for help. They hurt me more, then left me at the bottom of a hotel stairway. After surgery, I was kept under in the care unit. When I woke up, the doctor and nurses acted weird around me. The doctor tried to say I got hurt falling downstairs. No way, Doc, you can tell I was hit. I want you to speak at the trial. The doctor wouldn't look at me. He just said, your fall down the stairs hurt you bad. We put you in a light cast and your broken fingers are in a splint to heal. Just do what the nurses say and you'll be okay in a month. We're keeping you a bit more to make sure you heal up. Do you need anything? Just buzz. I was getting mad. I need my phone back. I need to make calls and where are my clothes? The doctor touched my arm. Just stay calm. Trying my best to yell for help, I passed out. They kept me on drugs for 6 days. I saw people come in and out, hardly awake to eat. On the 7th day, I woke up clear for the first time. A young nurse was there. She looked kind of known. You don't know me, do you? I stared as she messed with my arm, scared she'd drug me again. She got close and said, it's just salt water. It'll clean the drugs out in a few days. We've met before. You helped my sister, who can't walk well, keep her job. If she didn't, my mom would have had to stop working and we'd have lost our home. I nodded no, trying to think clear. Then it hit me. I told her a number again and again until she knew it by heart. Call this lady. Not from your phone, use someone else's. Tell her where I am, what's going on, and say she needs to come fast. Say to bring Jerry. She'll get it. Don't tell her your name and I'll keep you out of this. But please hurry. Do it as soon as you can." 18 hours later, loud noises and yells came from outside my room. The door flew open. A guy I worked with last year came in, Vivian right behind him. The doctor was there, messing with my IV drip. I had been acting dazed to keep up the act. I looked up and smiled. "Stop, Doc. I'm not asleep. Hi, Vivian. I'm so glad to see you. I need a blood test now. I don't know what they've been giving me. And have Jerry grab all of them, will you? You can do that, right, Jerry?" Jerry, the boss of the State Bureau of Investigation, said he'd love to do just that. But for now, he was keeping everyone for questions while he figured things out. I learned I was in some private clinic where folks go to drop weight. They took everything. Jerry let everyone know they were facing kidnapping, assault, risking lives because of the weird drug mix they had me on, and whatever smaller charges he could think of. The doctor yelled for a lawyer. He went white and quiet when they told him because it was all about politics now. They were using Homeland Security rules, which meant no talking to anyone outside. He told us, the first to cut a deal wins big in the plea game. One nurse, seeing her odds, made a deal and spilled all. Jerry hid them away, no talking to anyone outside while he looked into the charges. Vivian was mad as hell. I knew he was bad news. Can't wait to see him fall. We gotta get you safe. But Vivian, the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree, I thought. Then it hit me. My body hurt, and my future was unclear, but now my heart hurt too. Eve, my love, gone. Maybe she was always gone. But like Stanley, she hid it well. Either way, she was out for good. For 30 minutes, Vivian held me while I let out the pain and cried hard. She asked everyone but Jerry to leave, and I spilled what I saw in the video until I was empty. Vivian looked me in the eyes. "I've known Eve for ages, Tommy. She loves you. No one can fake that. Something's wrong. Have you heard her out?" I hadn't talked to her, didn't know what to say. "Please hear her out before you choose," she begged. "I don't know if I can," I said. "Even if we talk, that video won't leave my head." "What can she say?" "I don't know, love. We need to see her. Promise me you'll listen, will you?" After a bit, I said yes, at least to know if it was truly over. We had to move fast. Stan didn't know I was free, and he'd likely have eyes on me. Jerry took my story, giving him a legal reason to check on him. He could get nailed for taking someone, hurting them bad, and trying to scare them for stuff. When I said there was bad stuff on my computer, he sent a guy to grab it because she was taken. The FBI got called. They said the CBI could lead, then hit him with big charges. He got caught. Being drugged and stuck in bed actually helped my sides get better so I could move okay, as long as I was slow and careful. We got to grab his phone and as many of his work computers as we can. Do you know how many knew what was happening? I had no clue. His guards, for sure. Past that, I don't know. Check with his wife and kid. Jerry was all work. Stan was not liked by the cops. They put their heads together. Vivian had a plan. Stan would put his phone in a case. One of his guards would carry it while he talked so it wouldn't bug him. He had a meetup with work folks tomorrow. I would show up to scare him. Then they'd jump Stan and his team, take all the phones. They wouldn't cuff him, just say he was being looked into, hoping he'd freak and mess up. The next day, they drove me to the meetup. I was in a wheelchair. I hurt but brought a stick because I wanted to stand. When I saw him, they hid me until he was done talking. The Q&A was fixed. He knew all the answers. They rolled me out at the end. The news folks were packing up. I stood and the agents made room. I limped to the stage edge. "Got a question, you jerk," I yelled. It hurt my side like crazy. "Where's my wife? Out helping your friends. Who's she meeting for you today?" He went white, then left the stage. He was met by 8 agents with papers saying they could search. The news folks were all over him, throwing questions, wanting to know more. I guess Stanley knew his days in politics were done, but he couldn't see it. Too lost in his own world. I was just there, barely seen, until the man with the briefcase tried to bolt. He ran right at me. I had my cane ready. He saw me last minute and tried to dodge. It was the guy who had hit me before. I swung at his arm. The crack of the bone breaking was loud, and the case fell. He still tried to grab it, even with his arm clearly hurt. I caught him by the neck, which ended up bringing him down on top of me. That was a bad move. I felt a rib give way. Pain was all I felt, lying there. The agents were quick to grab him. They grabbed the case and helped me into my wheelchair. There's always an ambulance at big events like this, so help was fast, but not faster than a reporter. He shoved a mic in my face, asking what went down. Stanley Wallace happened, I said. It wasn't him that hurt me, but the cops moved the reporter to make way for the medics. Someone in the crowd knew me and shouted a question as the pain meds started working. Mr. Yount, do you still back Stanley Wallace? My answer was clear. Not just no, but hell no. The guy's bad news. He'd do anything to win votes. He'd go as far as it takes, even if it meant doing wild things to get noticed. I went a bit too far in my words, I admit. Jerry took over and made a statement to the news from the stage then. Speaker Wallace got in big trouble. They said he broke campaign rules, hurt someone bad, made threats, and took someone. The FBI said we could lead the checkup and we'd work with them, telling news as we find it. That's all I could say then. The news loved it. There were videos and pictures of him being taken away. A big mix-up with his guard guy got famous on YouTube, hitting 2 million views in 5 days. TV channels, especially Fox, kept showing it all day long. Stanley hid away, saying it was all lies made up by his foes in politics and a mad ex-son-in-law because his daughter was leaving him for being mean. He kept his ads up till the TV station stopped showing them in 4 days. His chances to win dropped fast. Experts thought his rival would win by a lot. I was kept safe. My brother Fred, a local deputy, was asked by the SBI to guard me because he knew who should be nearby. Celeste, the boys, and Amy came to stay at my place. Vivian was there a lot too. She and Amy took good care of me. One time, Amy caught me holding our wedding photo and crying. I didn't hear her at first. She's 11 now and looks a lot like Celeste. She turned my face toward hers. I didn't have my beard anymore, but it felt the same. She said she knew he didn't do those bad things. And deep down, I knew too. She said she'd come back. Nothing could stop her. Believe Uncle Tommy. Please believe. Then they found bad stuff on my computer. But the feds brought in experts who followed the bad stuff through many places before the track stopped in the state capitol. The computers and phones told us a lot of interesting stuff. Stan was into some bad stuff, holding secrets over folks with video of them in bad spots for years. He didn't have more dirt on Eve, but found lots on Greta with different men looking scared or out of it. His team dropped him like hot coal right before the vote, saying they're done with him. Soon he tried to run, but got caught. His money guy, facing a long time in jail, told on him. Same with 2 guys who were to keep him safe. So many were ready to talk. Jerry stopped giving out deals since she knew something big. She knew where Greta and Eve were hiding. It had been more than 2 weeks since I got hurt. Jerry and her folks looked everywhere with no luck. They were hidden in a rehab place 2 states over, Vivian told me. Even though she didn't want me to, I went with them when they went to get them. Because they were far, the FBI led the charge. They came ready with papers and lots of people, including Jerry and some of her crew. They were just there to help and, if needed, to take them back for more questions. They landed without warning. The boss welcomed them, said he's open but wanted his lawyer there to check the papers and keep an eye. The lead FBI guy knew this was just to slow things down. He told his team to start. Stop anyone getting in the way. I'll wait here for his lawyer. I was outside with Vivian since she wanted to come. When news folks guessed how mixed up I was in a bold move, she talked to them at a press meet. Tommy Yount, to me and all who know him, is a good, kind guy. I think of him and his wife kind of like they are my kids. My husband and I have loved being friends with them for many years. I believe Tommy will prove he did nothing wrong in this trouble. Thanks. I worked with her in groups and went with her to events when her busy lawyer husband couldn't. He got me into golf and would laugh when I got hooked. He was my lawyer when a news story wrongly said we were all in some fancy secret club. He fought so hard with legal suits, the news said sorry and paid a big gift to his favorite cause. Yellow Eye, a charity law group he loved, gives free help on everything from wills to breakups and teaches people about the law. They also clean parks and help at food kitchens. It got so big, almost every big town here has one. I helped start it because John, another lawyer, liked me, and we often ended meetings with golf games. Vivian saw 2 vans leaving quietly from a back lot and told Jerry. The FBI stopped them quickly. Greta was in one. The clinic boss was caught fast, and they took all the clinic's records and computers. They had hidden Greta since a bad thing almost happened to me. They kept her hidden and quiet. The boss got in trouble for putting Greta and her baby at risk, a serious crime here. They carefully woke them up. I went to see her while she was still sleeping. I leaned on my cane, looking at her as she slept. She was pale and skinny. Her hair seemed lifeless. I remembered when she danced in the kitchen, singing to the baby. Now, looking at her big belly 7 months along, I wondered if the baby would be okay and if it was mine. I didn't talk or try to touch her. I knew I'd just start crying if I did. The tears made it hard for me to see. I thought about Greta. I always liked her. She had a gentle smile when she watched us together, and she cried when we told her she was going to be a grandma with that funny t-shirt. Eve, even sleeping, looked worried. I thought, what secrets had she kept all these years? The situation grew huge. In the end, Stanley, his guards, his money man, campaign boss, doctors, nurses, the big party chief, 2 guys from the state, a man from Congress, 3 judges, 5 lawyers, 10 call girls, and 13 business folks got caught. Jerry was like a hero causing trouble for the bad guys. Each time someone got caught, they pointed at someone else. The newspapers said it was the biggest mess of the 21st century. Many said it was time to end career politics and that the guilty should face tough punishments. Greta and Eve had to give their stories with Vivian there. After, Vivian walked with me, gave me a paper and said, "I can't say it, you have to read it." It turned out Greta had a tough time with Stanley, almost like a prisoner, right from when they got married. Some stuff he made her do was so bad, I got sick. He only allowed her to have me because he wanted to look good, like he had a family. He kept them in line with constant mind games and careful use of drugs. The first time he used Eve for a favor, she was just past 16. He gave her up to a 64-year-old man for political gain. Time had run out to charge him, but people turned their backs on him. At 75, he was alone, broke, and ignored. Then, she started acting out and using drugs and alcohol. He couldn't tell the world without facing backlash, so he quietly had others clean up her messes and keep it out of the news. She thought she was free of him when she went to college, but he dragged her back at 20. Using force and threats, he filmed her and Greta to use against them. The men he set them up with, his habit of recording everything brought him down. There was proof of his bad deeds from the start of his career. She was done when she met me, telling him if she lost me, she had nothing left. She made sure Greta was safe too, and for nearly 4 years, their lives were as they should be. She didn't want to support him in his campaign, but did it to protect her mom. They were okay as long as I was there, but when I left, he drugged them, taking over again. They tried to fight back, but he won in the end. It all fell apart when I came to take her home. If he had let her leave, she would have taken her mom with her, and talk would start. There was a tape of him, his campaign manager, and 2 security guys talking about letting them leave, thinking a new baby and a worried mom might help their image. The campaign manager shut that idea down, reminding Stan of the promises he made to get support. At that moment, I think I hated the campaign manager even more than Stanley. I've healed enough to start thinking for me. I was still hurt and very angry and said no. Vivian begged me. She needs you so much. She saw you as her rock, her safe place, her proof that she was a lovable person just because of who she was, no strings attached. Please, Tommy, for me, do it. I hugged her tight. You're like a mom to me. You know, my folks died in a crash when I was just past being a teen, and how I feel about you shows me what I lost. Did you know we picked the name Vivian? Greta, thinking of her mom. Vivian had tears in her eyes. I can't, Vivian, not now. If she truly needed me, why leave? Didn't she know that anything bad on her would hit me even harder if it came out? Why would she go? Vivian hit me. It's you. You're why she left. The fear you might leave her if you knew. I get it might not click with us, but remember, she wasn't in her right mind. The hitting, the drugs, the guilt, all of it made her hide it from you. To her, you're everything, Tommy. The only bit of good in her whole life. She saw in your eyes she was losing you. Think of the baby, at least. That's your kid she's having. Doesn't that kid deserve something good? You could hear the hurt in my voice. What about me? Do I get anything good here? And yes, I think of the kid. What if it's not mine? Or even worse, what if it is? You know what? I'll take care of the kid. No judge would ever let her alone with that child, not with her past. Vivian caught my arm so tight it marked. Don't ever let her hear that. That baby and the hope you might forgive her is all that's keeping her going. Please, Tommy, I'm asking you, don't give up on her. Later, Celeste caught up with me. I'll see her. I need her to look me in the eyes and explain why she did you wrong. Maybe it'll help us both. Amy wants to see her too, but I said no, not yet. I'll ring you later. Celeste went to see her and talked to Greta. She didn't share much about their chats, but she did say her doctor really wanted to talk to me. Like, she was kind of begging. Celeste, Amy, and Vivian pushed me for 3 days until I said yes. I think I caught them off guard when I set my own rules. This isn't about me. If I feel she's pushing an agenda or tries to guide me where I don't want to go, we're done. I can choose not to answer her questions, but if she doesn't answer mine, we're done, and she has to know this up front. She can't bring up Eve at all. It took her 2 days to say okay to my terms. She was taken aback when I wouldn't meet at her place, but made her come to mine. I made sure we were alone. I didn't offer her a drink or anything, just had her sit on the couch. First off, thanks for coming. Your place is nice. Thanks, but call me Mr. Yount. We're not friends or anything. You're like a salesperson, selling something I might not want. So let's keep it professional. I'll cut to the chase. What do you want? She went red. I had cornered her, so she had to think fast on what to say without making me mad. It took her a bit to figure out what to say next. To be blunt, she's not doing well. We cleaned the drugs out, but she's not getting better. She needs... I've spent a lot of time with her. You're what keeps her going, her proof that she was worth something and deserved to be happy. By pulling away, you're breaking her. If it wasn't for the baby, I'd fear the worst. Please, you don't have to plan ahead, just be there for her. She needs you, Mr. Yount. She waited, hoping I'd say yes. Let's chat, Doc. Since we're into talking about your patient, does the rule of keeping things secret cover me? Can you share what I've said today with anyone else? She was okay with our chat being private. I saw her gasp when I lost it. You know, doctor, I'm done with being told how to ease pain, what moves to make for her to heal. And there's more, Doc. Enough is enough. I'm fed up with folks saying I should help her. Did I mess up the marriage? Is there a video out there of me in a bad scene just to help her dad win a big vote? Did I let her get hurt badly, then filled with drugs and hidden? She's stuck in a place that keeps the real world out. I have to deal with crazy stories, the gossip papers, and the stares and whispers when I'm out and about. Try being me, doctor, and then talk about compassion. This talk? It's done. Goodbye, doctor. Enjoy life. I didn't slam the door, but I sure came close. I felt a bit sorry later. She was drugged and kept away by force, but boy, did it feel good to let it all out. Maybe I should see a therapist. I wasn't just sitting around during all this. My lawyer got in touch. Time to keep your stuff safe. Remember the prenup we made for laughs? It might have been a joke, but it's still the real deal. I remembered I didn't want the cash, but it was a way to make her confess she did me wrong. He locked down all her stuff using the prenup. I made sure he told her all she had to do was own up to her mistake, and she'd get it all back. But she had to do it out in the open, my way. She said no. Greta was out of the hospital, but hiding in a fancy clinic for trauma and abuse cases. She wasn't stuck there, even though they didn't like it when she left. There was a knock on my door, and when I opened it, there she was on the ground. Greta, what are you doing? I'm begging, Tommy. You must see her. She won't eat. They feed her with tubes now. They're scared for the baby. I'm lost, Tommy. I've got nothing. No pride, no hope. And my family might be gone soon. I'll do all I can. Do you get it? Anything to help my girl and her baby. Please, Tommy, please. I lifted her up and took her inside. You're not by yourself, Greta. I always liked you and saw you as the perfect grandma. Vivian does care for you, even if she keeps quiet. I read your words. None of the bad stuff was because of you. It hurt me to know. I'm here always. Whatever you need. I need to save my girl, your daughter, and our baby. Please. I'm coming too. The hurt was too big. I broke down. My kid and the woman I love were in danger. I rushed to get her into the car. She was so pale, so thin, she looked like a ghost. Her belly, 8 months along, looked so big on her tiny frame. They gave her something to calm her and tied her hands so she couldn't pull out the IVs or tubes. My heart hurt more than I thought it could. Greta shared a lot on our drive. I know how it seems, Tommy, but she was loyal to you. The video you saw, that was the only time she almost slipped. She was pushed, but she didn't do it. She was tied up. And when he tried to make her do something awful, she fought and hurt him so bad he needed 7 stitches. Stanley would have hurt her if Greta hadn't stepped in. He used that video to control her after. She felt so ashamed. Greta told me she took her place later. To keep her safe, she was with him once. Tears were quiet on her part. I just held her hand, thinking of ways to make Stanley regret everything every single day. I couldn't help it. I started crying, pulled a chair close and held her hand, touching her hair and face softly. The doctors let her wake up, hoping my being there would help her. She slowly became alert. Greta held one hand. I held the other but had drifted off. I woke up when she squeezed my hand, checking if I was truly there. Tears started to fall. She tried to speak with her feeding tube in. A nurse gently took it out. Her voice was weak. Tommy, I need. I put my fingers on her lips and moved her hair back. You just need to get better. You need your energy. Soon we'll be running after our little girl and you need to keep up. If you promise not to do anything silly, I'll take these off. I really need to hug you. She cried. Greta cried. The two nurses looked teary. They helped take off the restraints. She was so weak she needed help, but she ended up in my lap, holding on, still crying. I held her for 2 hours, only putting her back when dinner came. Soup, mashed potatoes and blended veggies with jelly for dessert. It looked like kids' food. I fed her, promising a kiss for every bite she took. She tried hard to eat it all. I got a rocking chair, and after dinner, I held and rocked her, giving all the promised kisses and some extra. Every time she tried to talk about what happened, I said we would talk when she was stronger. She did say one thing. I never cheated on you, Tommy. Never. That's why I didn't accept the prenup, even though it looked really bad. She got very upset if I had to leave. I made sure Celeste, Greta, or Vivian was there. She had almost stopped crying when Amy saw her. The room was full of tears for 2 hours, and that included me. They hugged tight. Amy, I thought we lost you. Don't do that again, ever. I love you. And even if I did calm her down, baby, I'm here, and I'll never be far from you or our family again. I swear, please stop the tears. I've seen enough. She grabbed her hand and wept for almost 2 hours, talking about names for babies to boys. I took it as my cue to give them space. I took Greta and Vivian to the small coffee place down the road. They told me the latest on the big court case. If Stanley is found guilty of even half the stuff, he'll be old and gray in jail. He won't be lacking company, but I doubt they're friendly. Our lawyers made it so we can tell our side to the district attorneys in private because we're the hurt ones. I'd shout it on TV if it meant he'd stay in jail 1 more year. But we have to think of Eve. Are you going to speak up? I grabbed Brett's hand. Yes, as loud as I can. I want that crook to pay. The baby decided to come 2 weeks early, right as we were leaving the hospital. She squeezed my hand hard. Turn around, Tommy. I was confused. Did we forget something? Yes, I forgot. Our baby's coming. Now. I panicked, carrying her and rushing back inside. The baby's coming. Help! The nurse at the front had seen it all before. Put her in this chair, you, and let us handle it. You might as well join. She won't be long. Let's get you ready. She held my hand tight, yelling through it. Labor was quick, under 3 hours. Vivian Yunt was born at 1:55 p.m., screaming loud. Over the years, she'd proved to be the loudest kid I've ever known. They let me cut the cord, then cleaned her and gave her to me. It was my honor to lay my daughter beside my wife, where she quickly found how to feed. You've seen magic before, but looking up at me right then was a moment frozen in time. We were going to be okay. I ran my fingers through her hair. Another one? Maybe, but let's wait a bit, like 2 years, okay? She couldn't talk, but her eyes told me everything. My whole family and Greta, too, were waiting outside. Vivian and her hubby came later, and even Jerry showed up. They all went to see her in the baby room, saying how cute she was while I was so proud. When it was time to feed her, the women got to hold her. Greta first, then Vivian, Celeste, and Amy. Amy didn't want to let her go. It was hard. Even I had to work on things, going to see someone to talk for almost 2 years. We still see her every few months. It wasn't easy. We felt weird around each other for a long while, but we made it a thing to go to our baby's room when we fought. We'd come out holding hands, promising to always talk and trust. It took us until the baby was about 7 months to be close again. It was gentle and careful, like we might break. But it was good. Soon things between us got better, almost like before. Greta was smart with her money, keeping it to herself. Stanley thought it was good, thinking her money would help if things went bad. It didn't go his way. A year on, she began seeing Jerry. 6 months later, he moved in. Not long after, they got married. Vivian and John loved being part of their granddaughter's life, even becoming her godparents. Life moved on. Her grandma ended up being a big judge, and her grandpa was the boss at the state crime place. As for Fred, he retired after 20 years with the sheriffs. I made him a partner, and he looks after our business now. As for me, I had a new job. The mess from the scandal was huge and kept going as more bad news came out, hitting both sides hard. Jerry was like a tough dog, never giving up once he got going. In the next few years, we had a bunch of quick votes. They picked a yes man to take Stan's place, but he was so bad that when his time was up, his own group didn't want him back. The race got tight because an independent person joined in. Early on, they wanted to talk to me. I had no clue why. You know, the fight for freedom long ago was partly about money matters, paying taxes but having no say, and how long-term politicians weren't the plan. You were meant to leave your field or shop, do your bit, and then go home, making space for the next person. Now, unless you screw up big time like Stanley Wallace and his gang, there's more than a 90% chance you'll keep your spot. The system's messed up again, and fixing it seems impossible. The reporter was caught up in this idea. So in an ideal place, there'd be no long-term politicians. I doubt it'd be perfect, but sure, it'd be better. He kept on it. So in that kind of world, you'd step up to lead? I just laughed. Maybe, but I'd be terrible at it. I'm too straight up. I really thought folks wouldn't bother reading what I'd said. Or if they did, they wouldn't care. Wrong. People I didn't know were ringing me up, asking if I'd step into the ring. I kept saying no. But then, unexpectedly, my old political crew turned up. Billy Grant, Zane Williams, Jerry Smith, and naturally, that Emerson. To say I was shocked is an understatement. Seeing their smiles, I got a bad vibe. Hey guys, been a while. What's going on? They all smiled bigger. You are, mate. How about becoming a state rep? I pulled them in for a hug and welcomed them inside. We spent time catching up. Billy taught politics at a small college. 2 states away, Zane and Jerry ran a group that guessed how well people running for office would do. They were right 93% of the time. Most times they were wrong because of secret bad things about the person running. They got a small team to look into things for them, just for their use. This guy had helped a lot of people get elected. He had a good track record. He was happy to see them, thinking back on better days. They all liked the idea. Billy had 2 kids. Zane was single after a divorce, no kids. Jerry was gay, with no steady partner. They asked about going back to that tough world of politics. No way. Why would I want to go back after all the trouble? They said it was a chance to do things right and help give the power back to the people. Think it over. What's there to lose? I had doubts. You guys know what we went through. You weren't here. You can't understand. I looked at Eve. Do you really think this is smart? She stared back. It's a great idea. What kind of future will our kids have if no one stands up for what's right? It could make things better for us, too. A way to make up for mistakes, to fix things for my family. I was surprised we were even talking about this. After much talk, they convinced me to ask others. Vivian, John, Greta, and Jerry all said yes. My folks, and mostly Celeste, thought it was a top-notch plan. So the team gathered 3 weeks later. We got to throw a party, they said. Why, I wondered. Why not just go solo? Jerry broke it down for me. It would look bad. Even with the cash battle, you were with a team that thought like you. You need to give folks something to get behind, to bring them in. Alone, you'd seem like a sour solo act and you'd stand no chance. I listened, amazed. Sometimes I forget how clever or sharp on politics she was. They're thinking. I've got ideas, she announced. We listened. Your key point in that talk was that being in politics too long is no good. Go with that. Talk about how a person should have just one go to make things right before stepping aside for new ideas. Go with that. She paused. Plus, I can't bear the thought of being a politician's wife for more than a go. So we took her thought and ran. We formed the One Chance Party. Bill got us buzzing on the net, sharing bits of our thought before putting up a website. The idea was super straight. If you're in politics at the state level or higher as a member, you promise to only serve 1 term. If you're voting, you promise not to back anyone who goes for more than that. Simple. Serve with pride and do right. Leave with respect and pride. That was our catchphrase. Sure, it was all on Eve's dime. It was just a ground movement, not official with nobody running. So we could spend what we wanted. After a month and 25,000 names, the least to start a party, we made it official and signed up. telling everyone I was running for state senator in the 9th District. It threw the old political heads for a loop, and they rushed to stop us. Thanks to Thad's team and help from John, they couldn't do much because of a big issue with the Tea Party. They didn't try hard, seeing us as just a bother. Our lawyers made sure we did everything right, paying close attention to every detail. The first bit of money was from us, but soon we started getting more from other people. We told everyone who wanted to help us that if they gave more than $100, their names would be shown on our website. So you could see who helped us just by looking. Greta, Vivian, and John gave the most money they could by law. Amy was one of the first to give, putting in $25 she got from watching kids through Celeste. Since I was registered, I could join any debate. I was always the third speaker, but I made it work for me. In the first debate, I didn't say much until the Republican asked me what I'd do about issues in our state. Not much at first. I planned to spend the first year learning. Later, I'd start to make my voice heard. In another debate, I called them out on how their parties always voted the same way, sir. I turned to the Republican. Last year, your party always voted the same, 8 times out of 10, everywhere. Do you agree? He had to because everyone knew it was true. The Democrats laughed a little. Then I looked at him. And you, sir. Your party did the same, 9 times out of 10, right? He agreed. So I asked them, if you're both only working for your parties, who's working for the people? No one could answer, and the crowd clapped a lot. Our group started to grow fast. Other places started their own groups like ours. We made sure they followed what we believe. I was out there talking to people on radio and TV, but not too much. I picked a special saying for my last debate. We put it everywhere, even on big signs. Who's fighting for us? Call your leaders and ask. If their reply is no good, check out onechanceparty.com. We rocked it there and got a bunch of folks to join. Greta had my back the whole time on the run. At first, they were all jittery, but I was all in. By then, most secrets were out anyway. They gotta see you. Let all know. Even if you wish to forget the past. You're looking ahead. It might sting, but I'm not hiding because of you two. I really need you both close. Greta was a gem. Her thoughts were spot on. She wasn't just a Pole's wife for nothing, even when things got tough. Vivian and Jerry kept their distance for clear reasons, but they still showed up at dinners rooting for us. I told the news folks straight, old news is old news. Anyone digging up dirt or nagging got ignored at Q&A time. They caught on quick and zipped it. Amy was in middle school and they had a pretend vote when she found out our party was left out. She fought all the way to the school board, catching local eyes. The school let our party in, and Amy ran. She won with 60% votes. It was golden for us. In the end, I won, getting declared the winner well before all votes were counted. I had 18,000 more votes than my party folks. The big news folks noticed us. You might recall my time in office. Got lots of looks for calling out bad spending and refusing shady deals if it didn't help my folks back home. When it ended, I stuck to my word and came home, even with folks asking me to stay. I said no thanks. In my goodbye talk, I thanked all who stood by me and remembered the promise I made from the start. Our group was big, spread across the country, a known third group. One place messed up, but then 2 in the state and 2 in the whole country got to run with our group's sign. Big signs went up all over that place, showing these folks with liar on their faces, telling people to check a web page to see their promise signs. They all lost, went back to their old groups, and then vanished from the public. Was our country's way better after? History will have to say. After my time in office, I went to see a jail downstate. I was surprised he added me to the visit list. He looked smaller, had less hair, and it was nearly all white. I knew he got hit a few times. His hard stance on crime was well known. Probably in every jail there were folks with more time because of him. He came over, slow. I saw a scar on his face and knew what it meant. Seems he and someone in for life got close, been so for 3 years. Here to make fun of me? He kinda spat out. But there was no real heat in it. Nah. If I never see you again, it'll be too soon. You're the worst in my eyes. I once wished you'd die. But thinking over, I'm happy you're stuck here for life. Hope it's a long one. I let out a breath. Your wife and kids sent me. I wanted to show him something. Took out a photo of Greta Jerry from a trip, looking good, even with years on her. Could have been you, jerk, if you cared a bit for her. He didn't move, but his eyes got sharp. This. I showed a different photo. It was his first granddaughter, Vivian, on her third, trying to put cake on her mom's face, both laughing. She's grown a bit now. I showed him one more picture of a little boy about to nap on me. This is Thomas, your grandson, your niece too. We call her Induce. I showed him another one, a nice shot of Eve with her kids, her baby bump showing 7 months in. I gave him a baby scan picture. And this is Amy, your second granddaughter, Celeste. Eve wanted you to see, to know that despite what you did to her and her mom, they turned out okay. They're loved and cared for by good people. She wanted to show you what life you missed for not being kind. I stood up to go. I did what she asked, and I wouldn't stay more. As I left, I heard crying. I turned back. He was still there, tears falling, asking in a shaky voice to keep the pictures and the baby scan. At first, I didn't want to leave them, but then thought it'd hurt him more, reminding him of what he lost when he passed away 7 years later. His cell was filled with every picture I sent. When they told me he was gone, I felt no need to claim him or go to his send-off. What happened to his remains, I don't know. In the end, he faced the music and I moved on with my life. Hey, listeners! If you enjoyed watching this video and want to stay updated with our latest content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss out on what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video with Queen Cheating Tales.